Have you ever set a goal, worked hard for weeks, and still felt like you weren't getting anywhere? You're not alone. Most people spend their lives chasing goals that feel exciting in the moment, but vanish the second life gets busy or motivation fades. What if there was a better way to create real lasting change? Something that actually works no matter how busy or tired you are. That's where systems come in. Systems are the small daily actions that quietly build your skills, your habits, and your confidence. They are what turn effort into results, without relying on motivation or luck. In this video, you'll learn how to stop chasing goals and start creating routines that move you forward every single day. You'll see how even tiny, consistent actions add up to huge results over time. By the end, you'll understand how to build a life where success isn't random. It's inevitable because your system makes it happen. Watch closely and discover how to make your progress unstoppable. Chapter 1. Build a system that fits the way your mind works. You know, most people wake up every morning thinking about what they want. More money, better health, a new business, stronger relationships, and that's good. But there's a problem. Most of them stop right there. They write big goals on paper, hang them on their walls, and think life will magically change. But it doesn't, because what truly changes a life isn't a goal written on paper. It's the system you build in your daily routine. A goal can give you direction, but a system gives you movement. The human mind doesn't work on distant promises, it works on patterns. If you want to change your life, you must build a system that fits the way your mind works. Think about it. You can't force your brain to wake up one day and suddenly start loving the gym, eating clean and being productive. That's not how we humans work. The brain loves what's familiar, what's easy, what's rewarding. So if your system doesn't match how your mind operates, it won't last more than a week. The first step to real growth is self-awareness. You have to know yourself, not the version you want to be, but the one you are right now. How do you think? When do you feel most alive? When do you feel lazy or unmotivated? What triggers you to quit? What makes you want to keep going? These questions help you understand your mental rhythm. Once you know your rhythm, you can build a system around it instead of fighting against it. For example, if you know that your energy is high in the morning, then build your system around that. Do your most important work early. If you're the kind of person who gets creative at night, stop trying to force yourself into a 5 a.m. routine that makes you miserable. Systems are not about copying someone else's routine. They are about designing your life around how your mind actually functions. Many people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they build systems that go against their nature. You can't win a battle against yourself. The moment you understand this, life becomes lighter. You stop judging yourself and start designing a system that supports who you are while still pushing you to grow. The beauty of a system is that it makes progress automatic. You don't wake up every day wondering what to do. Your system tells you. You don't depend on motivation because your system runs the show. You just show up, follow the process, and the results come naturally over time. Now, how do you build a system that fits your mind? Start with something small. Pick one area of your life that you want to improve. Maybe your health, your career, your focus, or your relationships. Then ask yourself, what daily action would move this forward even by 1%? That 1% is where your system begins. If it's health, maybe it's drinking water first thing in the morning. If it's focus, maybe it's working without your phone nearby. If it's your career, maybe it's reading or learning something new every day. The point is not to do something big, but to do something consistent. When you repeat a small action daily, your brain begins to see it as part of your identity. You're not trying to be healthy anymore, you just are. You're not hoping to be productive. You've built an environment that makes you productive by default. This is how real change happens. Quietly, through systems that match your psychology. You see, goals create pressure. They make you feel like you're not enough until you reach them. But systems create confidence. They remind you that you're improving every single day. Every time you stick to your system, you tell your brain, I can trust myself. And that feeling, the feeling of self-trust, is where real confidence is born. People often say they lack motivation, but that's not the real issue. The problem is that their systems are too heavy, too unrealistic, too disconnected from their everyday life. If you want your system to last, it has to feel natural. It has to be something you can do even on your bad day, because success doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It comes from what you can keep doing even when you don't feel like it. Every great person you admire didn't get there because of one big goal. They got there because they built systems that made growth a lifestyle. Their systems took over when motivation ran out. That's the secret. When you design your system, think about friction, the small things that make you resist action. Maybe it's your environment. Maybe it's the distractions around you. Maybe it's the lack of clarity about what to do next. Your job is to remove friction wherever possible. Make it easy for yourself to start. If you want to read more, keep a book on your desk. If you want to eat better, don't buy junk food. If you want to work out, prepare your clothes the night before. These small adjustments change how your brain reacts. You stop thinking about the task, and you start doing it automatically. That's what systems do. They make success simpler. And the beauty of a system is that it grows with you. As you evolve, your system evolves too. What worked for you last year might not work now. And that's okay. You just adjust. The system is not a cage. It's a structure that supports your progress. It gives you balance when life gets noisy. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing goals with system. A goal says, I want to lose 10 pounds. A system says, I will eat healthy food and walk every morning. A goal says, I want to be financially free. A system says, I will save a fixed amount from every income. Goals focus on results. Systems focus on action. The result takes care of itself. When the system is strong, your system doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work for you. You can always refine it later. The key is to start. You can't think your way into discipline. You act your way into it. Every time you follow your system, your mind builds evidence that you are capable. And slowly, it stops resisting change. Sometimes you'll feel bored or restless with your system. That's normal. It's your mind craving novelty. But don't quit. Boredom is a sign of progress. It means your system has become automatic. And when things become automatic, that's when you win. Because now your growth doesn't depend on effort. It depends on structure. People who rely only on goals burn out fast. They chase one achievement after another and still feel empty because they never built the foundation. Systems give your life rhythm. They make every day count. Even on the days when nothing seems to happen, your system is still working beneath the surface. When you focus on systems, you stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that your path is unique because your mind is unique. Your progress may look slower, but it's sustainable, and that's what matters. You're not here to win a race. You're here to build a life that works for you. Remember this. Discipline is not about pushing yourself harder. It's about building an environment where doing the right thing feels natural. That's the essence of systems. You don't have to fight your habits every day. You build new ones that make your life easier. So start where you are. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for a perfect plan. Just build one small system today that makes you 1% better. Track it, adjust it, and protect it. Because your system is your foundation. It's what keeps you grounded when life gets messy. When your system fits your mind, growth feels smooth. You stop forcing yourself to live like someone else. You live in alignment with your nature, while still moving forward. That's balance. That's maturity. That's progress. Success is not about chasing results. It's about building a rhythm that produces results naturally. The moment you shift your focus from goals to systems, life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a journey. Every day you follow your system, you win. Every time you improve it slightly, you grow. And before you know it, you've changed your life, not because you reached one big goal, but because you built a system that works perfectly with the way your mind works. So take a deep breath. Look at your life honestly. Ask yourself what feels natural, what drains you, what excites you. Then design your system around that truth. Because when your system fits your mind, success stops being a struggle. It becomes a lifestyle. That's how real transformation begins. One system, one action, one day at a time. Chapter 2. Start doing what feels right instead of what looks big. Most people get stuck because they keep chasing what looks big. They want to make a big move, a big change, a big success story to impress others or even themselves. They want to do something that sounds great when they talk about it, but life doesn't reward what looks big. It rewards what feels right. The truth is, real progress begins when you stop trying to appear successful and start doing what truly matters to you. What feels right may not look impressive at first, but it builds something solid, something real. When you build your life around what feels right, you begin to live with peace instead of pressure. You stop doing things for show and start doing them for growth. You no longer chase motivation from others because your drive comes from within. That's when your energy changes. You wake up with clarity. You no longer need to pretend to be something you're not because your actions align with who you are. That's the beginning of real success, the kind that lasts. You see, most people fail not because they lack effort, but because they spend their effort on things that don't align with their truth. They follow what looks big, what others say is impressive, what gets attention, what gets praise. But the human mind doesn't stay committed to things it doesn't believe in. If you're doing something that doesn't feel right to you, your heart won't stay in it for long. You'll start making excuses, procrastinating, or feeling drained. That's not because you're lazy, it's because your actions are disconnected from your values. When you start doing what feels right, your actions gain purpose. You stop forcing yourself to be consistent because consistency becomes natural. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to stay consistent with something you truly care about? You don't have to drag yourself to do it. You do it because it feels meaningful. That's the power of alignment. Doing what feels right doesn't mean choosing comfort. It means choosing honesty. Sometimes the right thing is uncomfortable. It might mean facing hard truths, cutting off bad habits, or saying no to people who drain your energy. But deep down, even when it's hard, you feel calm because you know it's right for you. You don't need to do big things to make a big difference. You just need to do the right things with consistency. Every great achievement starts small. Every strong foundation is built from the ground up. Yet people keep waiting for the perfect moment to do something big. They want to start a company, but they won't take the first small step. They want to change their body, but they wait for the right Monday. They want to grow in life, but they look for the perfect plan. The truth is, nothing changes until you start doing something that feels right today. The reason most people never start is fear. Fear of looking small, fear of not being impressive enough, fear of being judged. But success is not about being impressive, it's about being effective. The right thing might look small to others, but to you it's progress. Don't chase approval, chase alignment. When you build your systems and choices around what feels right, you begin to experience fulfillment. You no longer compare your timeline with others, because your direction is personal. You stop asking how fast can I get there, and start asking, how deeply can I grow? That's where your peace lives. The world often tells you to dream big, aim high, think massive. That's fine. But if you only focus on what looks big, you'll forget how to start small. The greatest people didn't begin with a giant leap. They began with small steps that felt right to them. They did what made sense in their season, not what looked impressive on the outside. Doing what feels right helps you build momentum. When you take steps that fit you, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop needing someone else to validate your journey, because you can feel that you're moving in the right direction. That feeling of being in tune with your life is worth more than any external success. Now, how do you know what feels right? You listen to your inner signal. Pay attention to your energy. When something drains you constantly, even when you're trying hard to enjoy it, it's probably not for you. But when something energizes you, when you lose track of time doing it, when it gives you a quiet sense of satisfaction, that's a sign. That's your system pointing you in the right direction. It's not about excitement or motivation. Motivation fades. What feels right is about peace and flow. It's about that calm sense of this matters. When you operate from that space, you stop forcing things. You start creating naturally. You begin to grow without burning out. One of the smartest things you can do is stop pretending to care about things that don't truly matter to you. We live in a world where people chase trends, likes, and noise. Everyone wants to appear productive, successful, and busy, but none of that builds a meaningful life. The real game is internal. It's quiet. It's personal. When you do what feels right, even small actions carry power. Doing what feels right also means respecting your season of life. There are times for speed and times for stillness, times for growth and times for reflection. If you force yourself to do big things when your mind or emotions are tired, you won't last. But if you focus on doing the right thing for where you are, you'll build strength that lasts. Growth is not always visible, but it's always happening when you're aligned. Don't confuse movement with progress. Some people stay busy all day and call it ambition, but busyness without direction is noise. Progress is about moving in the right direction, even slowly. One meaningful step beats 1,000 random ones. That's why doing what feels right matters. It gives your energy a purpose. When you chase what looks big, you live from the outside in. You seek validation, applause, and quick reward. But when you do what feels right, you live from the inside out. You create value that starts within you and expands outward. That's the kind of success that can't be taken away. You'll know you're on the right path when you stop feeling like you have to prove yourself. The need to prove is a sign of insecurity. The moment you start following what feels right, you gain quiet confidence. You no longer need to shout your progress because you can feel it within. You become steady, grounded, and calm. Many people live frustrated because they keep forcing themselves to do things that don't match who they are. They think discipline means ignoring your inner truth, but real discipline means committing to what truly matters to you. It's easier to stay disciplined when your actions align with your beliefs. When you care deeply about something, you'll find the energy to stay consistent. Even on hard days, you don't have to build your life around what others call success. You have to build it around what brings you meaning. The world may not understand it right away, but you will, and that's enough. What feels right to you will look different for everyone. That's okay. Life isn't a competition. It's a construction project. You're building your own structure at your own pace. Start today by asking yourself one question. What feels right for me now? Not next year. Not when things are perfect. Right now. The answer will guide your next step. It might be small, it might be simple, but it will be real. And that's what matters. Doing what feels right gives you inner freedom. You stop being trapped by the opinions of others. You stop overthinking every move. You start trusting yourself. That trust is powerful. It's the foundation of self-respect. Every time you act in alignment with what feels right, you strengthen that trust. You begin to rely on your own judgment instead of waiting for approval. When you focus on what feels right, you stop chasing instant results. You learn to enjoy the process. You find joy in the effort itself, not just in the outcome. You start to notice small wins, small improvements, and they begin to multiply. Over time, those small right choices compound into something extraordinary. And when you build your life this way, you become more peaceful, more confident, and more fulfilled. You stop being in a hurry to arrive somewhere, because you realize that you're already walking in the right direction. You stop living for the weekend or the big milestone, because every day becomes meaningful in its own way. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do the right thing next. The right thing for you might be resting, learning, starting, or even stopping. Don't judge it by size. Judge it by truth. If it brings you closer to who you want to become, it's worth it. The moment you start doing what feels right instead of what looks big, your entire perspective changes. You stop comparing, you stop doubting, you stop chasing, you begin building, you begin growing, you begin living with intention. You'll find that the life that once felt heavy now feels simple, because you're no longer trying to impress anyone. You're just becoming the best version of yourself, one real step at a time. That's where your peace lives. That's where your power grows. So stop chasing what looks big. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Start doing what feels right today. That's how transformation begins. Not in one giant leap, but in the small, honest steps that align with who you truly are. And when you do that every single day, quietly, consistently, and truthfully, you'll look back and realize you didn't just chase success, you built it. Chapter 3. Create a process that feels natural, not forced. Success should never feel like punishment. Growth should not feel like you're dragging yourself through something that drains your spirit. Real progress is supposed to feel natural. It should come from a process that fits into your life, not one that fights against it. You can't live a disciplined life by constantly battling yourself. You build a meaningful life when your process feels real, when it feels like something you can keep doing without forcing it. Too many people quit not because they can't handle the pressure, but because they built a system that never felt right in the first place. They copied someone else's plan, someone else's routine, someone else's rhythm, and forgot that life doesn't reward imitation. It rewards alignment. What works for someone else might destroy your flow. What feels natural to you might seem too simple to others, but if it keeps you moving forward, it's powerful. That's what a natural process does. It sustains progress without draining your energy. You have to understand how your own mind and body work. Some people thrive on early mornings. Others think best when the world is quiet at night. Some people love structure. Others need flexibility. There is no universal formula. You're not here to live someone else's schedule. You're here to create one that fits your rhythm. A natural process begins with self-honesty. You have to know what environment makes you productive, what pace helps you stay consistent, and what type of work keeps you engaged. The best process is one that doesn't rely on motivation every day. Motivation is unpredictable. It comes and goes. But a natural process doesn't need you to feel excited, it just needs you to show up. It becomes part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or making your bed. You don't think about it, you just do it. That's when you know your process is working. It feels smooth, not heavy. A forced process, on the other hand, feels like resistance. You wake up and immediately feel like you're breaking rules. You start something but it never sticks. You plan too much, push too hard, and get frustrated too fast. You might see quick results, but they fade because you can't maintain them. The truth is, anything that feels forced will eventually collapse, because your mind doesn't want to live in conflict. It wants harmony. To create a natural process, start with small, realistic steps. If you're trying to improve your fitness, don't start with 2 hours at the gym. Start with 15 minutes of movement that you actually enjoy. If you're trying to read more, start with 10 pages, not an entire book. What matters is consistency, not size. When the process feels natural, consistency becomes automatic. You'll start craving the progress, not avoiding the effort. A lot of people confuse effort with struggle. They think growth must be painful to be real. That's not true. Growth often feels peaceful because it matches your current capacity. You can still challenge yourself, but do it in a way that fits your life. If your process constantly leaves you exhausted and resentful, it's not a process, it's punishment. A good process should give you energy, not steal it. The best process blends with your daily rhythm. It works around your responsibilities, not against them. It fits into your lifestyle, not into someone's idea of perfection. Think of it this way: you're designing a way of living that supports who you want to become. That means your process should make sense for the person you are right now. As you grow, you can adjust it, but start with what feels doable, not what looks impressive. When you create a process that feels natural, you stop overthinking. You stop negotiating with yourself every day about whether or not you should act. The decision is already made, because the process is already in place. You don't argue with your process, you follow it. That saves mental energy, which you can then use to improve, not just survive. You know your process is right when it brings a sense of peace, even when it's challenging. You may feel tired, but not drained. You may struggle, but you don't feel trapped. You can see that what you're doing has meaning, and that meaning fuels you to keep going. That's the beauty of a natural process. It aligns your emotions, your logic, and your energy in the same direction. When your process feels forced, your mind starts to rebel. You find yourself skipping days, making excuses, or feeling guilty for not keeping up. Guilt then turns into frustration, and frustration kills consistency. You begin to think something's wrong with you, but nothing's wrong. The problem is with the process. It wasn't designed for you. You were trying to squeeze yourself into someone else's mold. Once you design your own, everything changes. To build a natural process, pay attention to feedback. Your mind and body will always tell you what's working and what's not. If you feel constant resistance, it's a signal. If you feel drained even after success, that's a sign something needs to change. Adjust your process until it feels right. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress that feels human. When something feels natural, you can do it even on your bad day. You might not give 100% every time, but you'll still show up. That's what builds momentum. You don't quit just because you don't feel perfect. You keep moving, because the system fits your flow. Progress, even small, creates confidence, and confidence makes the process even more natural. One of the worst traps people fall into is forcing themselves to follow someone else's formula for success. They watch others online and think, if I just copy their habits, I'll get their results. But that never works. You can borrow ideas, but you must adapt them. What feels natural for someone else might feel impossible for you. Success doesn't come from copying. It comes from customizing. You take the principles and you build a process around your own strength, your own reality, your own life. You'll know your process is right when it starts giving you quiet satisfaction. Not excitement, not hype, just peace. You go through your day knowing you're moving forward, even if no one else notices. That's when discipline becomes joy, not burden. You no longer need to force yourself, because your habits have become a natural part of who you are. Building a natural process also means removing unnecessary pressure. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to meet unrealistic timelines. You just have to keep improving a little at a time. When you stop rushing, you start learning. And learning is what keeps you growing. It's important to make your process simple. Complexity kills progress. If your routine requires too much planning, it becomes a barrier. Keep it clear. Keep it flexible. Keep it easy to start. The simpler the process, the more natural it feels, and when it feels natural, you'll keep doing it without hesitation. A forced process is built on fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of falling behind. A natural process is built on clarity. Knowing what matters, knowing what works for you, and knowing how to stay consistent. That clarity removes the need for force. You no longer push yourself out of guilt. You pull yourself forward through purpose. It's also important to reward progress. When something feels good, your brain wants to repeat it. That's how habits form. A natural process builds on positive reinforcement. When you feel proud of your small wins, you begin to associate effort with satisfaction instead of stress. Over time, that emotional connection makes consistency automatic. A natural process doesn't mean easy. It means sustainable. You'll still face challenges, but you'll have the strength to handle them. Because your foundation is steady. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're working with yourself. That's what creates lasting transformation. When you're living through a process that fits you, you feel balanced. You don't burn out because your energy has rhythm. You know when to push and when to pause. You understand that rest is part of growth, not a break from it. You stop measuring your worth by productivity and start valuing your consistency. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to force progress. You don't. You need to design progress. You need to create a process that feels so aligned with your personality that skipping it feels uncomfortable. That's when you've mastered it. That's when you've built something real. Life doesn't get easier when you force yourself harder. It gets easier when you find a flow that matches your nature. You stop running in circles and start moving in harmony. Every small action connects with the next. Every day feels purposeful. That's what a natural process does. It removes chaos and replaces it with calm progress. If you ever feel like you're forcing your growth, pause and reevaluate. Ask yourself, does this process match who I am right now? Does it help me feel alive or just exhausted? If it feels unnatural, change it. You're allowed to adjust your path. You're allowed to evolve your process. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because real success isn't about how hard you push, it's about how well you align. The moment your process feels natural, growth becomes easier. Effort becomes enjoyable, and life becomes balanced. You wake up knowing exactly what to do. Not because you're forcing it, but because it's part of who you've become. That's the secret to lasting success. Create a process that feels natural, not forced. Build a rhythm that flows with your energy, your purpose, and your truth. When your process feels natural, discipline becomes effortless, consistency becomes second nature, and progress becomes inevitable. That's how you build a life that works, not through pressure, but through alignment.
Chapter 4. Focus on progress that you can feel every day. Progress isn't something you just measure with numbers or milestones. Real progress is something you can feel in your bones, in your attitude, in the way you wake up and carry yourself through the day. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about moving a little further than you were yesterday and knowing it deep inside. You don't need massive changes to feel alive. You need meaningful ones that you can sense in your daily rhythm. Because when progress becomes something you can feel, not just something you chase, you start to fall in love with growth itself. The problem is, most people are chasing results that are too far away to touch. They keep looking at the finish line and forget to notice the steps they're taking right now. They tell themselves they're failing because they can't see big outcomes yet. But progress doesn't always show itself in big leaps. It often hides in small shifts. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you recover from a bad day. Those small shifts are the heartbeat of real change. You can't live your life always waiting for the big win. That mindset steals your joy and blinds you to the quiet victories that happen every single day. When you start to recognize those small wins, your energy changes. You begin to feel momentum. You begin to trust yourself again. And when that happens, discipline no longer feels like a burden. It feels like progress you can touch. You have to train your mind to notice improvement in real time. Did you wake up a little earlier than usual? That's progress. Did you speak to yourself with more kindness than yesterday? That's growth. Did you stay calm in a situation that used to frustrate you? That's a sign of strength. Progress isn't about being perfect, it's about becoming better in ways that you can feel. When you only measure progress through big goals, you create pressure. You start thinking you're not good enough until you reach something grand. That pressure slowly turns into frustration. But when you measure progress through daily feelings, peace, confidence, focus, gratitude, you realize that growth is already happening every day. You just have to notice it. Every small effort compounds. Every act of showing up, every bit of learning, every quiet step forward, it all adds up. You don't see the full picture right away, but each piece matters. The goal is not to become everything overnight. The goal is to feel that you're moving, to sense that your effort means something. You can't feel progress if you're constantly comparing yourself to others. When you compare, you lose connection with your own path. You start running someone else's race and forget that growth feels different for everyone. Focus on your journey. The way progress feels for you will never look the same as it does for anyone else. What matters is that you can feel yourself becoming stronger, calmer, and more capable in your own life. It's important to slow down and acknowledge yourself more often. Take a few minutes at the end of each day to ask, what did I do better today? What did I handle differently? What am I proud of? These questions shift your attention from what's missing to what's growing. The brain learns through recognition. When you recognize progress, even small, you reinforce it, you make it part of who you are. When you focus on progress, you can feel. You stop chasing motivation. You don't need to feel inspired every morning. You just need to feel connected to what you're doing. That connection becomes your fuel. It gives meaning to the work. It keeps you consistent, even when the day feels heavy. Progress that you can feel doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's as simple as doing the thing you promised yourself you would do. It's in the patience you show. It's in the way you carry yourself when nobody's watching. That's where real confidence is built. Too often, people give up right before they start to feel the difference. They quit because they can't see the external reward yet. But progress always starts inside before it shows outside. You start feeling lighter, calmer, clearer. You start feeling proud of your effort again. That's the feeling that tells you you're on the right track. To build a life of progress, focus on feedback, not perfection. Ask yourself, what did I learn from today? Instead of did I do everything right? Every experience gives you data about what's working and what's not. Use that data to adjust your system. When you make small improvements based on how you feel and what you learn, growth becomes natural. When you begin to feel your progress daily, your relationship with failure changes. You stop seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough. You start seeing it as part of the process. You realize that even when things don't go your way, you're still growing because you're learning how to handle it. That emotional resilience is progress too. You'll notice that when you start feeling progress, you also start treating yourself better. You eat differently. You walk differently. You talk to yourself differently. That's because progress changes your self-image. You begin to believe in your own potential, not as a dream, but as something you can sense every day. You don't have to chase after transformation. You have to tune into it. It's already happening in your effort, in your patience, in your willingness to try again. Every day, you stay consistent. Your mind and body are adapting in small, invisible ways. Progress is rarely loud, but it's always working. To make progress something you can feel, simplify your focus. Choose one or two things that truly matter right now, and put your energy there. When you spread yourself too thin, you stop feeling progress because your attention is scattered. But when you give full presence to one thing, you feel the difference immediately. Focus brings depth. Depth brings fulfillment. When you start noticing daily progress, gratitude becomes easier. You no longer take small improvements for granted. You begin to see how far you've come instead of how far you have to go. Gratitude turns the process into something joyful. It reminds you that even slow days have value. Even small steps carry weight. Every day offers you proof that you're capable of change, but only if you pay attention. You might not feel it when you're rushing. You might not notice it when you're caught in perfectionism. That's why it's important to slow down. Feel your breath. Feel your pace. Feel the fact that you showed up again. That's where the satisfaction is, in knowing you're trying. Progress that you can feel doesn't mean easy progress. Some days you'll feel stuck, but even that is part of movement. Growth is not a straight line. Some days are about reflection. Some are about rest, but as long as you're engaged in the process, you'll progress. The feeling comes not from what you achieve, but from knowing you didn't give up. You can train your mind to appreciate this kind of progress. At the end of your day, write down 3 small things you did well. They can be simple: keeping your focus, staying calm, finishing what you started. This small practice teaches your brain to recognize evidence of improvement. Over time, you'll start feeling progress in real time, without needing validation from anyone else. When you focus on progress you can feel, you become more patient. You stop trying to rush your life. You stop treating growth like an emergency. You realize that progress isn't about speed, it's about alignment. You learn to trust the process. That trust gives you peace, and peace gives you endurance. It's easy to get trapped in the mindset of "I'll be happy when." You tell yourself you'll be happy when you reach the goal, when you make more money, when everything falls into place. But that mindset kills joy. You can feel happy right now if you recognize that you're improving. You can feel proud of yourself today if you realize that every small effort counts. The reason daily progress feels so good is because it connects you to the present. You stop living in regret or worry. You start living in awareness. You realize that life isn't waiting to begin, it's happening right now. Every day is a small chance to become a little better. And that's something you can feel immediately, if you pay attention. When you build your life around progress, you can feel you stay grounded. You don't fall apart when things don't go as planned. You know you're still growing, because your progress is internal. That stability gives you strength. It allows you to move forward with confidence, no matter what's happening around you. You'll find that as you keep focusing on daily progress, your standards naturally rise. You'll start expecting more from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of pride. You'll crave that feeling of growth, because it's addictive in the best way. Once you start tasting real progress, you never want to go back to stagnation. This is how long-term transformation happens, not through one big success, but through countless moments of improvement that you can feel along the way. You don't wake up one morning and become your best self. You feel yourself growing into that person, little by little, day by day. That's where fulfillment comes from. So stop waiting for the perfect moment to celebrate. Feel your progress now. Feel it when you keep your word to yourself. Feel it when you learn from your mistake. Feel it when you stay patient instead of quitting. These are not small things, they are everything. When you learn to feel progress daily, you stop needing external proof. You stop chasing motivation, because the feeling of growth becomes in. You realize that life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. It just has to be moving. And as long as you can feel that movement inside you, you're already winning. Progress is not about reaching the end, it's about feeling the change along the way. And when you can feel it every day, in your habits, your thoughts, your peace, you'll finally understand what real success feels like. It's not something you chase, it's something you live.
Chapter 5. Let your habits grow from who you truly are. Every lasting habit begins from a clear sense of who you are. Most people try to build habits by copying what others do or chasing trends that don't match their real values. That's why they fail. They try to force themselves into routines that none to someone else. But when your habits grow from your own nature, from your truth, they feel right. They become part of you instead of something you fight against. Real change begins when your habits reflect your identity, not your pressure to impress anyone else. Before you build any habit, you need to ask yourself a simple question. Who am I trying to become? Not what do I want to achieve, but who do I want to be? Because when you know the answer to that, your habits begin to take shape naturally. You stop chasing random goals and start aligning your actions with your real direction. You stop living by imitation and start living by intention. The key is alignment. Habits built from alignment never feel forced. They grow like roots from the kind of person you're becoming. If your habits don't match your identity, they'll always drain you. You'll do them for a few days, maybe a few weeks, but then you'll fall back. That's not because you're lazy, it's because you're disconnected. You can't sustain what doesn't belong to you. For example, if you're trying to wake up early because someone told you that's what successful people do, but you're naturally more focused at night, you're setting yourself up for struggle. You'll feel guilty for not sticking with it, but the truth is, it was never your rhythm. You were trying to live someone else's version of discipline. The right habit doesn't fight your personality. It works with it. You have to understand your energy, your emotions, your environment, and your natural flow. Self-awareness is the foundation of lasting growth. You can't build a meaningful life without first knowing the person living it. When your habits grow from that awareness, they stop feeling like rules. They become part of your character. They become automatic because they fit who you are. Too many people try to fix themselves before they even understand themselves. They treat habits like a repair plan instead of a reflection of their inner world. But you're not broken. You just need to align your behavior with your truth. You already have a certain rhythm, a set of values, a natural way of doing things. Use that. If you're calm and reflective, build habits that honor that. If you're energetic and expressive, build habits that use that strength. Growth doesn't mean changing your nature, it means improving it with awareness. The most powerful habits grow out of honesty. Honesty about what you need, what you can handle, what you truly care about. You can't build consistency on pretense. If you're pretending to be someone else, you'll burn out. But when your actions come from honesty, discipline becomes natural. You don't have to force yourself because your actions already match your values. This is why copying others rarely works. You can read about morning routines, productivity systems, or diets that changed someone's life, but if they don't connect with who you are, they won't last. You have to build your own version of growth. Maybe your peace comes from writing every morning. Or maybe it comes from quiet walks in the evening.
Maybe your productivity peaks when you work in short bursts, or maybe you thrive in long stretches of deep focus. There's no universal formula. The real formula is self-understanding. The truth is, habits are not about control, they're about identity. Every habit you keep reinforces the person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who never follows through, you'll act that way. If you start believing you're someone who stays consistent, your behavior will align with that belief. That's why changing how you see yourself is the first step to changing how you act. When your self-image grows, your habits evolve with. It's not enough to want better habits. You must build them from your core values. What matters to you? What kind of life feels meaningful? What kind of person do you want to be remembered as? When you define these things clearly, habits become easier. You no longer act out of pressure. You act out of purpose. And purpose always gives you energy. Think about this. Habits that grow from guilt never last. But habits that grow from love do. If you start exercising because you hate your body, you'll quit when you don't see fast results. But if you start because you love your body and want to care for it, you'll stay consistent. Love sustains, guilt exhausts. The same is true for every area of life. Build habits that come from self-respect, not self-judgment. Habits should make you feel more like yourself, not less. Every small action should strengthen your sense of who you are. That's when growth feels natural. It doesn't matter how small the step is. If it's aligned with your truth, it's progress. You'll know it's right when it doesn't feel like a performance. You'll know it's right when it feels like home. To build habits that grow from who you are, you must spend time understanding yourself deeply. Observe your patterns. Notice when you feel most alive, most focused, most at peace. Those are signs of alignment. Build your routines around those moments. If you thrive in silence, create time for it. If you find energy in movement, make it part of your day. You're not trying to fit into a perfect system. You're designing one that fits you. You can't copy authenticity. You have to create it. And it starts with paying attention to what matters most to you. Too many people ignore their inner voice in the name of productivity. They follow someone else's advice, even when it doesn't feel right. But wisdom isn't about doing more. It's about doing what's right for you. When your habits come from that kind of awareness, you feel grounded, you feel calm, you feel in control without force. There will always be people who tell you what habits you should have. Wake up early, read an hour a day, meditate for 20 minutes. These are all great practices, but only if they work for you. Growth is personal. What works for one person might drain another. Don't measure your life by someone else's rhythm. You're allowed to design your own pace. You're allowed to build systems that feel good to live inside. Your habits should support your emotional well-being, not damage it. They should help you feel capable, not guilty. That's the difference between habits that last and habits that fail. When your habits are based on self-compassion, you grow naturally. You stop fighting yourself. You begin to enjoy the process. The strongest habits often grow quiet. You don't even notice them forming because they fit your identity so well. They blend into your life. They stop feeling like effort and start feeling like expression. You know you're growing the right habits when they bring you peace instead of pressure. You have to remember that every habit carries meaning. Every small choice reinforces a belief. When you choose to act in alignment with your truth, you send yourself a message: I can trust myself. Over time, that message becomes your foundation. You begin to see yourself as capable, reliable, and strong. That's the real reward of habits. It's not the result. It's the relationship you build with yourself. Many people try to build habits from fear. Fear of failure, fear of falling behind, fear of not being enough. But fear is not a stable foundation. It may push you for a while, but it can't hold you for long. You'll burn out because fear drains your energy. But when habits grow from purpose and self-respect, they energize you. You start enjoying the effort. You start seeing your progress, not as a chore, but as a reflection of who you're becoming. When you're true to yourself, consistency becomes easier. You don't need to fake motivation. You don't need constant reminders. You act naturally because your actions feel aligned. That's why self-awareness is the most underrated form of discipline. When you know yourself, you don't waste energy pretending. If you want to change your habits, start by changing your story. Stop telling yourself that you're inconsistent or lazy. Those labels keep you stuck. Instead, tell yourself you're learning, you're improving, you're becoming more aware. The brain believes what you repeat. When your story changes, your behavior follows. Think about the last time you built a habit that truly lasted. It probably wasn't something you forced. It was something you cared about. Maybe you started reading because you loved learning. Maybe you began walking daily because it cleared your mind. Maybe you improved your diet because you wanted more energy. Those habits stuck because they matched your identity. You didn't have to push yourself. You simply expressed who you already were. This is the secret to sustainable growth. You don't build habits to become someone else. You build them to become more of yourself. Real success doesn't mean transforming into a different person. It means uncovering your best version and giving it structure through your daily actions. Your habits are the bridge between your current self and your potential self. But that bridge can't hold if it's built on false expectations. It must be built on authenticity. Every time you act in line with your truth, that bridge gets stronger. Every time you pretend, it weakens. When you stop forcing habits that don't fit, you make space for habits that do. You stop living under constant pressure and start living with flow. You start experiencing growth as a natural rhythm instead of a constant struggle. That's what it means to grow from the inside out. You owe it to yourself to build habits that respect who you are, not the version you show others, but the real one, the one that feels peace in quiet moments, the one that knows what it needs even when the world is loud. When you live from that place, your habits stop being tasks and start being truth. True growth doesn't happen through control. It happens through alignment. You don't need to fight yourself to improve. You just need to understand yourself better. The more honest you are about who you are, the easier it becomes to create a life that feels right. When your habits grow from who you truly are, you stop needing constant motivation. You wake up knowing what to do because your life fits your values. You stop chasing success and start embodying it. You stop trying to prove something and start living something. And that's where peace lives, in the space between authenticity and action. Because the real goal isn't to build perfect habits, it's to build habits that make you feel more alive, more grounded, more you. When you do that, success stops feeling like a chase. It starts feeling like home.
Chapter 6. Make your actions match the life you want to live. Every person carries a picture in their mind of the life they wish to live. It might be peaceful, productive, full of freedom, or filled with love and purpose, but that vision remains a dream until your actions begin to reflect it. The truth is, your life will always follow your actions, not your intentions. You can think about the life you want all day long, but until your daily behavior lines up with it, nothing changes. You can't wish your way into a better life. You have to act your way there. Most people talk about their dreams as if they are waiting for permission to begin. They want more confidence, better relationships, financial stability, or personal peace, but their daily choices don't move them toward those things. They say they want health, but skip the small habits that create it. They say they want focus, but spend hours on distractions. They say they want freedom, but keep repeating routines that keep them trapped. There's no judgment in that, just a reality check. Because the moment you make your actions match your vision, life starts shifting. Slowly, yes. Quietly, yes. But it shifts. You don't need massive steps, you need matching steps. Your actions must match the quality of life you say you want. You can't expect peace while choosing chaos. You can't expect progress while repeating avoidance. You can't expect success while practicing inconsistency. Life always mirrors what you do, not what you intend. The key is alignment. When your choices start reflecting your vision, that's when your future becomes real. Ask yourself this: what would a person who lives the life I want do today? What time would they wake up? How would they treat their body? How would they spend their free time? What kind of people would they surround themselves with? What kind of mindset would they carry when problems show up? These are not small questions. They are the bridge between your dream and your reality, because every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. You can't say you want a calm mind while feeding it noise. You can't say you want growth while refusing discomfort. You can't say you want better relationships while avoiding honesty. The life you want will always demand something from you. It will ask you to act in ways that match it long before you see the rewards. And that's where most people give up, because alignment requires patience. It means doing the work before the evidence appears. But that's the only way transformation happens. You can't build a great life on temporary effort. You build it through consistency, by showing up in small, aligned ways every day. If you want strength, lift a little more each day. If you want peace, remove a bit more noise each day. If you want progress, stay disciplined when nobody's watching. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things repeatedly until your actions feel like your identity. Sometimes the reason life feels stuck isn't because you're not trying. It's because you're trying in the wrong direction. You're putting effort into habits that don't serve the life you want. You're busy but not aligned, productive but not fulfilled. That's why it's not just about working hard. It's about working right. Every action must have meaning behind it. Otherwise you end up running fast but staying in the same place. There's a deep satisfaction that comes when your actions begin to match your value. You wake up feeling proud, not just for what you did, but for what it says about who you're becoming. You stop living in contradiction. You stop saying one thing and doing another. That inner harmony brings peace. It brings confidence, because you know you're no longer lying to yourself. You're living in truth. You don't have to change your whole life overnight. Just pick one area and start bringing alignment there. Maybe it's your health, your focus, or your relationships. Choose one and start acting like the person who has already improved that part of life. If you want to be someone who reads daily, start reading even for 5 minutes. If you want to be someone who eats healthy, make one better choice today. If you want to be someone who manages money well, start tracking where it goes. Every small act of alignment sends a message to your brain. This is who I am now. When you act in alignment long enough, identity follows. You start believing in yourself again. You start trusting your word. You start feeling worthy of the life you desire. That's the real transformation. Not the result, but the belief that you're capable of creating it. You'll notice that the people who live fulfilled lives don't wait for motivation. They understand that motivation follows movement, not the other way around. They move first, they act first, and motivation catches up later. They don't talk endlessly about their dreams. They act in ways that pull their dreams closer. That's what it means to make your actions match your life. Every action carries energy. When your behavior is misaligned, that energy becomes frustration. You feel like you're working hard, but not getting anywhere. When your behavior matches your vision, that energy becomes momentum. Suddenly effort feels lighter, because it has meaning. You start feeling alive again, because what you do each day is connected to something bigger. It's easy to wish for a better life. It's harder to act like you deserve it. Many people subconsciously sabotage themselves because they don't believe they're ready for better. They want change but feel unworthy of it. That's why alignment begins inside. You have to decide that you are worthy of the life you want. You have to prove it to yourself through action, because action is the language the mind understands best. When you start living in alignment, you no longer need to force motivation.
You don't wake up dreading your responsibility. You start feeling proud of your discipline because it matches your desires. You stop needing outside validation because your satisfaction comes from within. You're not chasing an image anymore. You're living a standard. Take a look at your daily routine, right? Does it reflect the future you're trying to build? Does your time match your priorities? Does your energy match your purpose? If not, it's time to adjust. Don't wait for the right mood or the right moment. The best time to start living your vision is always now. The smallest act of alignment today can shift everything over time. When you make your actions match your desired life, even challenges feel different. You stop viewing problems as setbacks and start seeing them as part of the process. You understand that discomfort is proof of movement. You start trusting that your actions, even when hard, are leading somewhere meaningful. That mindset is what separates those who talk about change from those who create it. Consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things regularly. Progress doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. Every day you choose action over excuses. Your future becomes more real. It's not luck that builds a great life. It's alignment practiced over time. Think about how you spend your hours. They're the building blocks of your life. Each moment is a decision about who you are becoming. You can use them to build or to drift. You can use them to create or to avoid. Every small action adds up. Every choice either pulls you closer to your vision or pushes you away from. When you truly begin living in alignment, something shifts inside. Your energy changes. You start walking differently, speaking differently, thinking differently. You stop needing constant reassurance because your actions give you proof every day. You don't wonder if you're on the right path. You can feel it. That feeling becomes your motivation. One of the most powerful things you can do is remove actions that don't belong to your future. Stop doing the things that drain you, distract you, or disconnect you from what matters. Replace them with small, meaningful steps that align with the life you want. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters most. When your actions and your desired life finally meet, you experience peace. You no longer live with that quiet conflict between who you are and who you wish to be. You start showing up in your relationships, your work, your routines, with integrity. You become reliable not just to others, but to yourself. That's when self-respect grows. That's when you realize that happiness is not found. It's built. Every day is a chance to close the gap between your vision and your behavior. Don't underestimate the power of a small action done with the right intention. Change doesn't demand perfection. It demands alignment. The question isn't whether you can achieve your dream. The question is whether your daily actions deserve it. When you act as if the life you want is already yours, you begin attracting experiences that match that energy. Your environment responds to your behavior. Your relationships, opportunities appear. It's not magic. It's clarity. When you're clear about what you want and your actions show it, life starts cooperating. Sometimes alignment means saying no. No to distractions. No to comfort. No to anything that keeps you small. Each no creates space for the yes that truly matters. The more aligned you become, the simpler life feels. You stop juggling too many directions. You focus your energy. You act with purpose. The greatest freedom you'll ever experience is when your actions match your vision. You stop pretending. You stop feeling torn. You wake up each day knowing you're building something that matters. You're not just surviving. You're creating. That sense of direction gives life meaning. So if you want to change your life, start with your next action. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Choose one thing that matches the life you want and do it. Every time you act in alignment, you become stronger. Every aligned step builds a foundation that nothing can shake. The life you want isn't waiting for you. It's waiting for your consistency. It's waiting for your decisions to match your words. It's waiting for your behavior to match your vision. Because when that alignment finally happens, everything changes. You begin to feel proud of the way you live. You stop chasing happiness and start creating. You stop hoping for peace and start living it. You stop wishing for success and start embodying it. The truth is simple. Your actions are your real priorities. What you do is who you are, and when what you do matches the life you want, you've already won. Because at that point you're no longer just dreaming. You're living your dream in motion, one honest action at a time.
Chapter 7. Keep improving by learning from your daily patterns. Every single day your life leaves a trail. The moments you notice and the moments you ignore, the choices you make, the reactions you have, the energy you bring into each situation, all of these create a pattern. Most people go through life unaware of their patterns, reacting without reflection, drifting instead of learning. But if you pay attention, these patterns become your most powerful teachers. They tell you where your strengths lie, where you're holding yourself back, and what adjustments can create a better tomorrow. Growth isn't random. It's hidden in your daily patterns. Your habits, routines, and behaviors repeat so predictably that they are like footprints in the sand. Every day you leave evidence of who you are becoming. If you look closely, you'll see that small decisions compound. The way you spend your mornings, how you respond to stress, the kind of thoughts you dwell on, these are all signals. They tell you what's working and what's not. Learning to read these signals gives you a direct path to improvement. Too often people treat failure as an endpoint. They mess up, feel guilty, and move on without learning. But each mistake, each pattern that doesn't serve you, is an opportunity. It's a message. If you ignore it, you repeat the same struggle endlessly. But if you examine it, if you study it carefully, you can change your approach, adjust your behavior, and create a smarter, stronger version of yourself. Daily reflection is not optional, it's essential. Patterns aren't just about actions, they're about triggers. What causes you to procrastinate, to react emotionally, or to feel drained? Recognizing these triggers is critical because it gives you control. You can't eliminate every obstacle in life, but you can adjust your responses. You can learn to act differently than your impulses dictate. Every time you recognize a trigger and respond intentionally, you strengthen yourself. That's real improvement. Start by observing yourself without judgment. Notice what happens throughout your day. Where do you feel energy? Where do you feel tension? What thoughts repeat in your mind? Which reactions repeat in your relationships? This is data, not shame. Your patterns are neutral. They are signals waiting for your attention. When you look at them clearly, you gain insight that no book, seminar, or advice can give you. Your own life becomes your teacher. Every day contains moments to experiment. You can try a slightly different approach to an old problem. You can change the order of your routines. You can introduce one new habit or remove one old one. Small adjustments allow you to learn what creates more energy, focus, and satisfaction. Life is not about giant leaps, it's about tiny experiments repeated consistently. Your daily patterns show you which experiments succeed. Awareness of patterns also teaches patience. You'll notice that improvement doesn't happen in dramatic leaps. Some habits take weeks or months to feel natural. Some mindset shifts take repeated practice to stick. Observing your patterns helps you see that progress is a process, not a destination. You begin to appreciate that each day you show up and make conscious choices is itself a form of learning. Your emotions are part of the pattern too. Notice what triggers anxiety, frustration, or joy. Emotions are feedback from your internal system. When you honor them without letting them dictate your choices, you gain clarity. You start making decisions from understanding rather than reaction. That is how small, thoughtful actions accumulate into real transformation over time. Your environment plays a massive role in your daily pattern. Where you live, the people you surround yourself with, the spaces you occupy, the sounds and images you take in,
All of these shape your behavior. Observing these environmental effects allows you to design your surroundings to support growth rather than hinder it. Patterns are not only internal, they are external, and both can be molded consciously. Reflection doesn't have to be complicated. At the end of each day, take a few moments to ask, what worked well today? What felt off? Where did I waste energy? And where did I invest it wisely? Which thoughts or actions contributed to progress, and which led to setbacks? The answers are immediate guides for tomorrow. Improvement is continuous, because your patterns are continuous. You don't wait for a week, a month, or a year. You adjust as you go. Some people think self-improvement is about new ideas or strategies, but the most effective change comes from observing your existing patterns and making them better. You don't need more information, you need awareness. You need insight into what you're already doing and how to refine it. That's why successful people often focus more on reflection than on constant learning from outside sources. Patterns also reveal strengths you might not notice otherwise. Pay attention to moments when you feel energized, focused, or confident. What were you doing? Who were you with? These patterns tell you where your natural abilities lie. Strength-based growth is faster and more fulfilling than trying to fix weaknesses alone. Your patterns give you the map to leverage what's already working. Learning from daily patterns requires honesty. You can't ignore uncomfortable truths. If you find that you consistently procrastinate, lash out, or make decisions that drain you, acknowledge it. These patterns are not failures, they are guides. Confronting them is not easy, but it's necessary. Change is only possible when you see the full truth of your life and your actions. Over time, small insights compound. One realization about your thinking can change how you respond in dozens of situations. One adjustment to your routine can boost your energy for weeks. One moment of emotional awareness can improve your relationships continuously. The impact of observing patterns is cumulative. The more you pay attention, the more leverage you gain for long-term transformation. Patterns also teach resilience. You notice that some actions produce setbacks, and some produce growth. By studying them, you learn to predict outcomes. You gain the ability to make better choices under pressure. You stop repeating the same mistakes blindly. Life becomes less chaotic because your awareness increases. Your patterns are feedback loops that strengthen your ability to navigate complexity. It's easy to overlook the power of daily observation. Most people rush through life, responding to circumstances and stimuli without consideration. But patterns are everywhere, quietly shaping your life. A small habit ignored today can become a major problem later. A small insight noticed today can become a foundation for significant growth. Learning from your patterns turns ordinary days into classrooms for mastery. Your mind is always adapting to repeated behavior. If you repeat negative patterns, your brain strengthens the pathways that reinforce them. If you observe and adjust, your brain strengthens the pathways that create growth. You are rewiring yourself constantly, whether consciously or unconsciously. Observation is the tool that turns unconscious adaptation into intentional growth. Feedback is not just about mistakes, it's about reinforcement. Notice what gives you energy, joy, focus, and confidence. Those patterns indicate behavior to repeat. Many people only notice what feels wrong, but equal attention should go to what feels right. Positive reinforcement through awareness accelerates improvement. You begin to replicate behaviors that align with your vision naturally. Patterns also teach timing. By observing when you are most productive, creative, or energetic, you can schedule your important work accordingly. By noticing when focus dips or emotions spike, you can avoid unnecessary conflict or distraction. Your patterns show the natural rhythm of your mind and body, and aligning your actions with that rhythm creates effortless growth. Consistency in observation is crucial. It's not enough to notice patterns once a week or once a month. The real power comes from daily attention. Each day is a micro-experiment. Each action is a test. Each response is data. When you track these moments consistently, you see trends, not anomalies. That trend is where growth lives. Your patterns reveal relationships too. How do you communicate with friends, family, or colleagues? What triggers tension or harmony? Which interactions lift you and which drain you? By observing these dynamics, you can make small adjustments that dramatically improve your social life and emotional health. Patterns are guides to both personal and relational mastery. Learning from your patterns is not about criticism. It's about curiosity. Approach each observation with interest, not judgment. Ask, what can I learn from this, rather than, why am I failing? Curiosity opens doors to insights that shame never will. Growth becomes enjoyable instead of burdensome when you approach life as an experiment. You also learn patience through patterns. Some results take months to show because the actions that create them are subtle. But when you track your behavior consistently, you notice the shifts long before they appear externally. Small victories compound invisibly until one day you realize transformation has already happened. Patterns show that progress is steady, not always visible. Daily reflection doesn't need to be long. Even a few moments of focused attention can create insights that ripple through your life. The key is consistency and honesty. Ask, what repeated actions moved me forward today? What repeated actions held me back? Then adjust. Small corrections, repeated daily, lead to unstoppable improvement. Your patterns also reveal mindset shifts. Notice the beliefs behind your actions. Are you acting from fear, scarcity, or obligation? Or are you acting from confidence, abundance, and purpose? Patterns are more than behavior. They are a window into your thinking. When you correct your thinking, behavior follows naturally. Finally, learning from daily patterns builds self-trust. You begin to know yourself deeply. You understand what works, what doesn't, and why. You stop relying solely on external advice and start trusting your judgment. That trust is a foundation for every decision you make moving forward. Growth becomes internal, resilient, and self-sustaining. Your life is a series of repeated choices, and your patterns are the story of those choices. Pay attention, reflect, and adjust daily. When you do, you'll discover a powerful truth. Improvement is not a distant goal. It is happening all around you, waiting for your awareness to catch up. Your patterns are not obstacles, they are tools. Use them to grow, to refine, and to create a life that reflects your true potential.
Chapter 8. Stay patient when your system feels slow but steady. Every day leaves a trace on your life, whether you notice it or not. The small choices you make, the routines you follow, the thoughts you entertain, and the energy you bring into each moment form patterns that shape your future. Most people move through life without awareness, letting these patterns run unchecked. They repeat behaviors that drain them, create unnecessary stress, and limit their growth. But if you pay attention to your daily patterns, you unlock one of the most powerful tools for improvement available to any human being. Patterns are not just habits, they are reflections of how your mind and life are functioning. Observing them allows you to understand what is helping you grow and what is holding you back. The first step in using your daily patterns for growth is observation. Take time to notice what happens every day. Look at how your energy fluctuates, how your focus changes, and how your mood shifts in response to different situations. Notice the tasks that make you feel alive versus the tasks that drain you. Patterns show themselves in repetition.
They reveal what is consistent in your life and how those consistencies impact your overall well-being. By tracking your behavior, you gain clarity about what to adjust, what to reinforce, and what to remove. Patterns are also powerful teachers because they provide immediate feedback. When you take action, you see results, sometimes immediately, sometimes gradually. If you repeatedly act in ways that move you closer to your goals, the pattern reinforces itself. If you act in ways that hinder progress, that pattern becomes a signal to reevaluate. Life is essentially a series of feedback loops. Paying attention to them allows you to course correct before small issues become bigger problems. Daily reflection is essential to understanding these patterns. At the end of each day, ask yourself what worked well and what didn't. Be specific. Did you handle challenges calmly or react impulsively? Did you make decisions from clarity or from distraction? Which moments felt productive and which felt wasted? This reflection allows you to take control of your learning process. Improvement is not about blindly repeating behaviors. It's about consciously adjusting based on the signals your life gives you. Patterns reveal the connection between your environment and your behavior. Where you live, who you spend time with, and how you structure your day all impact your actions. Pay attention to how these external factors influence your daily patterns. Are there certain places or people that drain your energy consistently? Are there routines that energize and support your goals? Once you understand these connections, you can deliberately shape your environment to reinforce growth instead of creating obstacles. Your emotional responses are also a crucial part of your pattern. Notice what triggers stress, anger, or frustration, and what brings you joy, calm, or confidence. Emotions are signals that guide your choices. By understanding these emotional patterns, you gain the ability to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Each time you recognize a trigger and choose a constructive response, you reinforce a new pattern of growth. Over time, this creates resilience, self-control, and a stronger sense of agency in your life. Learning from patterns is not about criticizing yourself. It's about curiosity and observation. Instead of asking why you failed, ask what you can learn. What behaviors or decisions led to the result you experienced? Which aspects of your day consistently support your goals? This mindset shifts growth from judgment to learning. Curiosity keeps you engaged and willing to experiment, which accelerates improvement. Patterns also show the connection between small actions and long-term results. Many people expect immediate success, but real progress is often subtle. The routines you follow today build the habits that shape your future. One decision repeated consistently compounds over time. Observing these patterns helps you understand cause and effect. You see how tiny adjustments accumulate into significant change. This perspective reduces frustration and keeps you motivated to continue. Self-awareness is critical for learning from patterns. Observe not only what you do, but why you do it. What beliefs, fears, or assumptions guide your actions? Are your decisions coming from intention or habit? By examining the motivations behind your patterns, you gain insight into the mindset driving your behavior. This allows you to consciously align your actions with the person you want to become. Patterns are not just about behavior, they are windows into your thinking and value. Every habit you maintain leaves a signature on your daily life. Some habits build energy, focus, and strength. Others create resistance, fatigue, and distraction. By observing these patterns, you learn which habits to reinforce and which to adjust. This process transforms daily life into a laboratory for growth. You experiment, observe, learn, and refine. Improvement becomes systematic because you are constantly working with real data from your own life. Daily patterns also reveal the rhythm of your energy and focus. You may notice that you are most productive in the morning, most creative in the afternoon, or most reflective at night. Aligning your tasks with these natural patterns increases efficiency and reduces wasted effort. Observing and responding to these rhythms allows you to optimize your day for maximum results and minimal stress. Feedback from patterns is both external and internal. External feedback comes from results, outcomes, and responses from others. Internal feedback comes from how your body, mind, and emotions feel. Both are important. By paying attention to internal feedback, you can catch misalignment before it becomes visible external. By observing external feedback, you can confirm whether your choices are producing the results you want. Both forms of feedback work together to guide continuous improvement. Patterns teach patience. Real change is rarely dramatic. It is the accumulation of small intentional adjustments repeated over time. When you notice a pattern that doesn't serve you, you can adjust gradually rather than trying to overhaul your life overnight. This approach makes growth sustainable. By focusing on patterns, you understand that consistent effort compounds and small improvements lead to lasting transformation. Patterns are also sources of empowerment. When you recognize your repeated behaviors, you realize you have more control than you thought. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. Every day, you have the opportunity to shift your responses, refine your habits, and redirect your focus. Awareness of patterns transforms life from reactive to proactive. You begin to steer your life rather than drift through it. Observing patterns also strengthens decision-making. When you notice recurring mistakes or successes, you gain clarity on what choices serve you and what choices don't. You learn to anticipate outcomes and act with foresight. Patterns reduce uncertainty because they provide a clear record of what works and what doesn't. Over time, this leads to smarter, more intentional actions in all areas of life. Patterns reveal consistency and inconsistency in your life. Some areas may show steady progress while others lag behind. By identifying these discrepancies, you can direct energy where it is most needed. Improvement is not about being perfect everywhere. It is about noticing gaps and adjusting them systematically. Patterns make this process transparent and actionable. Self-reflection based on daily patterns allows for emotional growth as well. You learn how to manage frustration, impatience, and fear by noticing how they recur and how you respond. You also notice what brings joy, confidence, and clarity. By understanding these emotional cycles, you can structure your day and actions to enhance positive states and mitigate negative ones. Emotional awareness is essential for personal mastery. Patterns also teach adaptability. Life is dynamic, and challenges change constantly. By observing your behaviors and their outcomes, you develop the ability to pivot when needed. You learn to adjust without losing direction. Patterns provide the roadmap for flexible, intelligent action. They allow you to respond to life without abandoning your goal. Learning from daily patterns strengthens self-trust. The more you observe and adjust your actions, the more confident you become in your ability to manage your life. You stop relying solely on external guidance because you are using evidence from your own behavior. This internal feedback loop builds confidence, resilience, and a sense of competence that cannot be taken away by circumstances. Patterns also reveal your hidden potential. When you notice moments of excellence, focus, or creativity, you see what you are capable of achieving. Often people underestimate their abilities because they ignore these signals. Daily observation brings awareness to strengths that were previously unnoticed. Leveraging these strengths accelerates improvement and deepens self-awareness. Improvement through patterns requires discipline. Observation alone is not enough. You must take action based on what you notice. Patterns without response are data wasted. Every insight must lead to adjustment, refinement, or reinforcement of behavior. This is how incremental change turns into lasting transformation. Your patterns are also guides for future planning. By observing how you respond to challenges, opportunities, and routines, you gain insight into what strategies will succeed. You can predict obstacles and prepare solutions before problems arise. Patterns are not just reflective, they are predictive. They allow you to build a life that anticipates challenges instead of being surprised by them. Finally, learning from daily patterns creates a mindset of continuous improvement. You stop waiting for major events to teach you lessons. You realize every day contains evidence for growth. Every interaction, every decision, and every moment is a chance to refine your life. Continuous attention to patterns turns life itself into a teacher, and you become a student who never stops growing. Daily patterns hold the key to mastery. They reveal strengths, weaknesses, rhythms, triggers, and opportunities. They provide immediate feedback, guide adjustments, and reinforce alignment with your goal. By observing, reflecting, and acting on your patterns consistently, you create a life that grows stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true potential. Improvement is not accidental, it is the result of careful observation and intelligent action. Your patterns are the blueprint. Learn from them, adjust through them, and your life will reflect the effort you invest in. Noticing them. By paying attention to daily patterns, you develop clarity, focus, and control. You notice what energizes you, what drains you, and how your choices impact your result. You learn to act intentionally rather than react habitually. You discover hidden potential, strengthen self-trust, and refine your strategies. You create feedback loops that support continual growth. Patterns are not passive, they are active guides that shape your future. The more aware you become, the more skillful and empowered you are in designing the life you want. Your life is an intricate web of repeated behaviors and decisions. Each pattern tells a story about who you are, what you value, and where you are headed. By learning from these patterns, you gain insight into both your current reality and your potential future. Patterns provide the evidence, the feedback, and the roadmap needed to continually improve. The key is attention, reflection, and action. With these three, your daily patterns become your greatest teacher, your clearest guide, and your most reliable tool for growth.
Chapter 9. Trust the small wins that quietly build your confidence. Every success, no matter how big it appears, is built on small wins that often go unnoticed. These small wins are the moments when you choose discipline over comfort, consistency over distraction, and action over hesitation. They may seem insignificant in isolation, but they quietly shape your confidence, character, and capacity to achieve bigger goals. Confidence is not a sudden feeling. It is built gradually, day by day, step by step, through repeated evidence that you can handle your life and make progress. Trusting the small wins is trusting yourself and proving, quietly and consistently, that you are capable. Most people overlook the power of small wins because they expect transformation to be dramatic. They wait for a breakthrough moment or a large success before they believe in their own abilities. But real confidence is built in the moments where you do what needs to be done, even when it feels minor or routine. Each decision to take action, each time you keep a commitment to yourself, adds to your inner reservoir of trust. The more small wins you accumulate, the more your confidence grows naturally. Small wins provide immediate feedback that your efforts are working. When you complete a task, follow through on a promise, or make a small improvement in your behavior, you receive proof that you are capable. This evidence is powerful because it is personal and verifiable. You can look back at your actions and see that you achieved what you intended, even in small ways. Over time, this accumulation of evidence transforms doubt into certainty and hesitation into courage. Trusting small wins requires patience. Results may not appear overnight, and progress is often invisible until it reaches a tipping point. The key is to value the process rather than fixate only on outcomes. Every small win is a brick in the foundation of your future success. When you consistently show up and act with integrity, you are building skills, habits, and belief in yourself that will compound over time. This patient approach prevents burnout and keeps you moving steadily toward your goal. It is essential to recognize and celebrate small wins because they reinforce the behavior that leads to growth. A small victory, such as completing a project on time, staying consistent with exercise, or maintaining focus on a difficult task, deserves acknowledgement. Recognition does not have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as noting your accomplishment mentally or journaling about it. Celebrating small wins creates a positive feedback loop that strengthens your motivation and encourages repeated action. Small wins also help you build resilience. When challenges arise, having a history of consistent small wins reminds you of your capabilities. You begin to trust that you can handle setbacks, solve problems, and continue forward. Each success, no matter how minor, reinforces the idea that you are resourceful, capable, and competent. This trust in yourself allows you to take risks, face uncertainty, and pursue opportunities that may have felt intimidating before. Confidence is a muscle, and small wins are the repetitions that strengthen it. One of the most underestimated aspects of small wins is how they build momentum. Momentum is the force that propels you forward when action becomes easier, because you've already started. Completing one small task often leads to another, creating a chain of achievements that seems effortless. This momentum makes it possible to tackle larger challenges with greater ease, because you've already proven to yourself that you can act and succeed. Small wins are also powerful because they focus your attention on progress rather than perfection. Many people get discouraged because they compare themselves to others or to an ideal version of success. This comparison creates pressure and leads to inaction. But small wins shift your perspective. They show that growth is achievable through incremental steps, and they remind you that progress, no matter how minor, is valuable. By focusing on the wins within your control, you build confidence steadily without the burden of unrealistic expectations. Trusting small wins requires awareness. You have to recognize them and understand their significance. It is easy to move through life without noticing moments of success, especially if they seem ordinary. But ordinary actions repeated consistently are what create extraordinary results. When you pay attention to your small wins, you validate your own efforts and reinforce the belief that you are capable of growth. Awareness is the first step in transforming ordinary actions into meaningful confidence-building experiences. Small wins cultivate self-discipline. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you reinforce the habit of reliability. You teach yourself that your word matters and that you can trust your own decisions. This self-discipline is not about rigid rules or punishment. It is about building a foundation of trust with yourself. Each small wins strengthens this foundation and makes future challenges easier to meet, because you know you have a track record of action and consistency. Another benefit of small wins is how they create clarity. When you focus on small, achievable actions, you gain insight into what works and what doesn't. You learn which strategies suit you, which habits are sustainable, and which approaches produce results. This clarity allows you to refine your methods and prioritize the actions that have the most impact. Over time, repeated small wins guide you toward the most effective path, reducing wasted effort and increasing efficiency. Small wins also strengthen patience and persistence. They teach you that meaningful change does not happen overnight.
By valuing small victories, you learn to persist even when progress is slow or invisible. You develop the ability to maintain consistent effort in the face of challenges and setbacks. This endurance becomes a key component of long-term success, because it reinforces the principle that steady, repeated action builds substantial results over time. The accumulation of small wins builds self-confidence, because it demonstrates capability. When you see a pattern of completed actions and achieved goals, you begin to believe in your own competence. Confidence is not about waiting to feel ready. It is built through evidence that you can follow through. Each small win is a reminder that you are capable of taking action, solving problems, and creating the results you desire. Small wins also reduce fear. Fear often paralyzes action because the challenge appears too large. Breaking it into smaller, manageable steps creates wins that are tangible and achievable. Each small victory reduces the perceived difficulty of the larger task and builds confidence to continue. Fear diminishes when you prove to yourself repeatedly that you can succeed in smaller, incremental ways. Consistency is the key to leveraging small wins. One isolated success may feel encouraging, but repeated small wins create lasting confidence. The effect is cumulative. Each day you act with integrity, follow through on commitments, or improve in small ways, you are building a foundation that will support larger achievements. Consistency reinforces the message that you are reliable, capable, and growing. Small wins are also essential for motivation. Motivation is often fleeting and unreliable, but action produces confidence. Each small win confirms that your efforts matter. By trusting and celebrating these moments, you create an internal drive that sustains long-term progress. Motivation then follows action rather than preceding it, making growth more reliable and self-sustaining. Small wins encourage reflection and awareness. When you take note of progress, no matter how minor, you begin to analyze patterns, identify strategies that work, and adjust where needed. Reflection transforms simple actions into lessons for future improvement. Each small win becomes a data point that guides smarter decisions and enhances effectiveness. Even in failure, small wins matter. Every time you attempt a task, take action or maintain consistency, you reinforce your commitment to growth. Failures become learning opportunities because they are part of the accumulation of experiences that build competence. The focus shifts from avoiding mistakes to continuously acting in ways that strengthen skills and confidence. Small wins also strengthen resilience in social and professional settings. When you achieve small successes, you gain confidence to assert yourself, make decisions, and take initiative. This quiet accumulation of trust in your abilities allows you to navigate challenges and interactions with composure and clarity. Over time, these small wins manifest in larger achievements and recognition because they build a dependable track record of capability. Trusting small wins also encourages humility and patience. You learn that transformation is rarely instant and that meaningful change is often invisible at first. By appreciating the incremental progress, you develop a mindset that values effort and improvement rather than outcome alone. This perspective fosters balance, reduces frustration, and creates a sustainable approach to personal development. Small wins create a cycle of positive reinforcement. Each success builds momentum for the next. Achieving a small task encourages action on another. Confidence grows, and motivation strengthens. This cycle amplifies results, turning ordinary daily effort into extraordinary long-term outcomes. Trusting this process allows you to focus on what you can do today, rather than worrying about distant results. The power of small wins lies in their ability to accumulate quietly. They may not attract attention or applause, but they are the foundation of lasting confidence and competence. Each repeated action proves your capability, strengthens habits, and builds trust in your own ability. Over time, the cumulative effect of small wins is immense, creating the stability and resilience needed to handle increasingly significant challenges. When you embrace small wins, you stop chasing perfection. You stop waiting for external validation or dramatic breakthrough. You focus on the tangible actions that produce growth. Each day becomes an opportunity to act, succeed, and reinforce belief in yourself. The more consistently you do this, the stronger your confidence becomes. Trusting small wins transforms your perspective on growth. You stop underestimating the importance of minor actions and start recognizing that excellence is built gradually. You begin to see that consistent, deliberate steps produce results far beyond what dramatic efforts alone could achieve. Confidence emerges quietly, steadily, and reliably, one small victory at a time. By valuing and trusting small wins, you develop a foundation that cannot be shaken by failure, doubt, or uncertainty. You learn that competence is proven through repeated action, not words or intention. You gain the resilience to face challenges, the clarity to prioritize effectively, and the courage to take consistent steps toward your goals. In this way, small wins become your most powerful tool for building lasting confidence, personal mastery, and sustained success.
Chapter 10. Live each day as proof that systems shape success. Every day is an opportunity to prove to yourself that systems work. Success is not an event. It is the result of repeated actions that follow a structure designed for growth. Systems are not complicated. They are consistent routines, processes, and habits that align with your goals and values. When you live each day intentionally within a system, progress becomes inevitable. The world rewards consistency far more than bursts of effort. Each morning you wake up, you have a choice to follow a system that moves you forward or drift into randomness. Those who embrace systems understand that results come from reliable actions repeated over time. Living by systems means deciding in advance how you will act in different situations rather than leaving outcomes to chance. Your environment, choices, and habits all interact to produce predictable results when guided by a system. You no longer rely on motivation, inspiration, or luck. Instead, your routines carry you forward. Each repeated action reinforces your system and builds confidence in your ability to reach your desired outcomes. Systems reduce uncertainty because they create a clear path to follow, even when life is unpredictable. Systems are powerful because they operate quietly in the background. You don't need to think about every decision. Every day becomes structured to support your long-term vision. For example, a simple morning routine of planning your day, prioritizing tasks, and taking focused action creates momentum that carries through every hour. When you live within a system, results are no longer random. You see a direct correlation between what you consistently do and the progress you achieve. One of the greatest strengths of systems is that they make success less about willpower and more about habit. Motivation is fickle. It fluctuates based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Systems, however, create automatic behaviors that produce results even when you don't feel motivated. The key is to design systems that are sustainable, repeatable, and aligned with your goals. Over time, these actions become effortless because they are ingrained in your daily life. Each day provides an opportunity to test and refine your systems. Observation and adjustment are critical. When a routine or process doesn't produce the results you expect, it is a signal to tweak the system rather than blame yourself. Systems are living structures that evolve as your life evolves. By treating each day as proof, you gather evidence of what works and what needs improvement. This approach eliminates guesswork and replaces it with consistent learning. Systems also help maintain focus. When you live without a system, distractions pull you in multiple directions and energy is wasted.
A well-structured system channels your attention toward high-value actions and ensures that your efforts compound over time. Each task, each habit, and each interaction becomes purposeful. The structure provides clarity, and clarity enables action without confusion or doubt. The beauty of systems is that they scale. A small daily routine, when repeated over weeks and months, produces results far beyond what a single effort could achieve. Systems transform ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. They create a multiplier effect, where consistent behavior compounds into success. This principle works in health, finances, relationships, productivity, and personal growth. Each small action within a system contributes to larger achievements. Systems also provide accountability. When you live within a structure, it becomes obvious when you deviate. Missing a task or neglecting a routine creates a measurable gap that signals the need for correction. Systems are feedback mechanisms that guide behavior, reinforce progress, and prevent drift. They teach discipline and patience because results are a product of persistent effort rather than instant gratification. Trusting systems requires patience and faith in the process. Results often take time to manifest because the effects of repeated actions are gradual. This is why many people fail. They expect immediate outcomes and abandon the process too soon. Living each day as proof of systems means valuing consistency over instant results and understanding that each day of intentional action adds to cumulative success. Small daily wins are evidence that the system is working, even if large outcomes are not yet visible. Designing effective systems requires clarity on your priorities. Identify the areas of your life that matter most and create routines that directly support them. This is not about being busy, it is about being effective. A system turns intention into action by structuring your day so that you automatically take steps that lead to results. Each decision becomes a building block in your larger framework for success. Systems reduce stress by removing unnecessary choices. Decision fatigue is real. It saps energy and slows progress. When your actions follow a well-designed system, you conserve mental energy for decisions that truly matter. Predictable routines provide stability, and stability allows you to take bigger risks in areas that require creativity and judgment. Systems free your mind from chaos, so you can focus on impact. Systems also build confidence. Each completed task, each small victory within a routine reinforces your belief in your ability to achieve your goals. Confidence grows quietly and steadily because it is grounded in evidence. You know you can rely on yourself to take action consistently. When challenges arise, confidence built from systems keeps you moving forward rather than doubting your capability. Every day offers feedback on your system. Notice what produces results, what feels natural, and what drains energy. Adjust routines to optimize outcomes. Systems are flexible, but they require attention and refinement. By treating daily experiences as data points, you continuously improve your framework for success. Systems are not static, they evolve as you grow and as your circumstances change. Living by systems also fosters resilience. When unexpected challenges occur, a strong system provides stability and a path forward. You are less likely to be derailed by obstacles because your framework ensures that you continue taking meaningful steps toward your goal. Systems make your life predictable in its progress, even when external conditions are unpredictable. Each system should be aligned with your values and long-term goals. If your system supports actions that contradict what you truly want, it will fail to produce fulfillment. Alignment is key. When your daily routines and processes reflect your priorities, each day becomes evidence that your actions lead to the life you desire. Systems then serve as both a guide and proof of your commitment to growth. Simplicity is crucial when creating systems. Overly complicated routines create friction and are difficult to maintain. The most effective systems are clear, repeatable, and easy to follow. The goal is consistency, not complexity. Each day, Following a simple, reliable system builds habits that accumulate into lasting success. Systems also reinforce accountability through measurable outcomes. Track progress regularly and make small adjustments. This creates transparency and ensures that the system continues to produce results. Feedback from measurable actions is a powerful motivator and proof that daily effort compounds. Living each day as proof of a system transforms mindset. You stop focusing on distant goals or uncertain outcomes, and instead concentrate on what you can control. Daily execution within a system provides clarity, reduces overwhelm, and maintains momentum. The emphasis shifts from hope to evidence, from intention to action. Systems also encourage learning and adaptation. By observing how your actions produce results, you gain insight into what strategies are most effective. Each day becomes a classroom, and each repeated action is a lesson in how to optimize your life. Systems turn ordinary routines into a framework for continuous improvement. Success created by systems is sustainable. Unlike quick fixes or sporadic effort, systems create structures that can be maintained over the long term. You are less reliant on external motivation and more reliant on consistent process. This stability ensures that progress continues even during challenging periods. Every day within a system becomes proof of possibility. Completing a task, maintaining a routine, or following through on a process confirms that you are capable of producing results. These repeated confirmations build belief in your own abilities. Confidence grows, not from chance success, but from consistent evidence that you can execute effectively. Systems also help prioritize what matters most. When every action is guided by a framework designed to achieve goals, distractions naturally fall away. You focus energy on high-impact behaviors. Productivity and effectiveness increase because the system directs attention and effort toward what truly moves the needle. Living through systems reinforces discipline. Each day, you follow through with a routine, strengthens your ability to stay committed. This discipline becomes automatic, embedded in your identity. Over time, taking the right actions becomes second nature, and success becomes inevitable because it is structured into your life. Daily execution within systems also builds adaptability. Life changes constantly, and a flexible system allows you to adjust without losing direction. You learn to respond intelligently to new information, obstacles or opportunities, while maintaining forward momentum. Systems provide structure without rigidity. Finally, living each day as proof that systems shape success teaches patience, consistency, and trust in the process. You no longer chase fleeting inspiration or rely solely on motivation. You act deliberately, consistently, and intelligently, and results follow naturally. Each completed task, every repeated habit, every consistent action becomes evidence that the structure you have built works. Systems transform effort into reliable, measurable progress. They take chaos and uncertainty and turn them into confidence, mastery, and achievement. By embracing systems, your life becomes a demonstration of intentional living. Success is no longer abstract. It is visible in your routines, habits, and daily actions. Each day confirms that when you build a framework that supports growth, you create a life where results are inevitable. Systems do not promise instant miracles, but they guarantee that consistent effort produces transformation over time. Living each day with a system in place is living with proof. It shows that success is not random, talent is not the sole driver, and luck is not the deciding factor. Systems give structure, predictability, and the ability to make consistent progress. By focusing on process rather than outcome, each day becomes a step forward, each action becomes a building block, and each completed task becomes evidence that success is the result of intentional, repeated behavior. Systems turn ordinary routines into extraordinary outcomes. They quiet doubt, reduce friction, and provide a pathway to mastery.
When you follow a system, life no longer feels like random events. Every day is a demonstration of your ability to execute, improve and achieve. Living intentionally within systems is the clearest proof that success is the product of consistent, aligned action. Every morning offers a new opportunity to act according to your system. Every evening provides feedback on your progress. This continuous loop of action, reflection, and adjustment ensures that each day contributes to long-term success. Systems transform ordinary choices into meaningful momentum, and living each day as proof ensures that you never underestimate the power of structured effort. Success does not appear overnight, and it is rarely the result of luck. It is earned through repeated, deliberate and consistent action within systems that support growth. Every task completed, every routine followed, every process executed becomes evidence that success is possible when systems are in place. By committing to this approach, life becomes a measurable demonstration of what deliberate, structured action can achieve. Systems provide clarity, efficiency, and predictability. They create a foundation that allows you to focus on results rather than uncertainty. They build confidence, because each completed action reinforces capability. By living each day in alignment with your systems, you create proof that your effort is not wasted, and that success is inevitable when action is structured, intelligent.